Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to the Voice of the Cape 91.3 FM. This is the VLC 2022 Matric Revision Programme, and we are live on the Facebook page as well as on YouTube. So we invite you to tune in and we welcome you all to the session here this afternoon. My guest today is Mrs. Ni-shaat Dastagir. She has a BA degree as well as a postgraduate certificate in education from the University of the Western Cape. She's also an educator at Darul Arqam Islamic High School in Mitchells Plain, and she's been teaching there since 2017. Alhamdulillah, and she teaches grade 12 home language. Now, today we'll be covering the English subject, paper 1, section C, and the topic is language in context. And I hand over to you, Miss.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to all our guests at home sitting and viewing the show this afternoon. It's an absolute pleasure to be with all of you today again. I am Mrs. Dastagir, and today I will be covering English Paper 1, Section C, Language in Context. Okay, so we are coming towards the end of the English Paper 1, and next week we will be starting with our Paper 2 revision, inshallah. Okay, and without further ado, let us begin. Okay, so what does section C of paper 1 consist of? Question 3 is, question section C consists of question 3, which is analyzing the advertisement, okay, which is the visual literacy, and it is equivalent to 10 marks. And then we have our question 4, which is our understanding other aspects of the media, which is typically your cartoons. And then we have question 5, which is using the language correctly. So that is the language use. So you will be tested on language use, and then you will also be tested on the editing bit of the English language. Okay, so the advertisement. So basically what the advertisements are for, it is basically the art of persuading consumers to spend money they don't have on something they don't need. Okay, so things you must understand, or you must remember, or you need to bear in mind when you are out and answering this section of the question paper, is you need to know what product is being advertised. Okay, so you need to understand which product is being advertised, at whom is the advertisement aimed at, so that is your target market as well. So who are the people that would be interested in this type of product? Okay, then you also need to understand the importance of the tone. So the tone is basically the typography, as also known as the typography. It is basically the use of language in there. So it's often the art of persuasion. Okay, then you need to look at the layout. The layout is basically how the words are put placed onto the ad, what pictures are being used, etc., etc. Then we have the font, and the font is what type of words, what the size of the words are, what the writing style is. Okay, so all of that, and with the image. Okay, so all of that is used as persuasive techniques to encourage the reader or the viewer to buy into a certain product. Okay, so next slide. Concepts in advertising that we need to know and we need to understand. The concept in advertising is typically taught from grade 9. Okay, so from grade 9, and the most important concept is the AIDA principle. The AIDA principle is basically is attention. Okay, does the advertisement capture the attention? How do we capture the viewer or the reader's attention? Okay, so we will use things like surprise, the element of surprise. We will use attractive graphics, okay, and graphics, pictures, etc., etc. We will also make the title or the heading of a certain ad exciting or interesting, or it will grab your attention and suck you in. Okay, so it makes you want to see what the rest of the advertisement is about. Okay, or make you want to know more. Okay, so then the information. So the AIDA, A for attention, I for information. Okay, is the information relevant? Okay, and then also with the information, there is the promise of reward and satisfaction, right? And that raises mystery. Okay, so then it will sort of push push the consumer to buy into certain things. Okay, then we have the desire. So we've done the A, which is attention, I, information, D, which is desire. Okay, so it creates this need or an urgency. Okay, and we are bought in by the unique benefits, and then also we identify with a certain brand. Okay, so that's your brand identity. So then it will urge or spur or evoke feelings of wanting, of desire. And because we identify with a certain brand and we have a desire to look and feel a certain way, so therefore we will buy into it. Then we have action. Okay, so the action is basically you going out and buying stuff. So you purchase, you order, you subscribe, and initially, and the end result is for you to buy in to that product, okay, that is being sold, or that desire, or their brand identity, and for you to then get your satisfaction, right, from purchasing that. So remember the AIDA principle, very, very important: attention, information, desire, and action. Next one, the target market. Who is your target market? So who is the ad basically aimed at? Okay, who are they trying to lure in to buy into the product? Okay, so basically who the preferred customer would be. Okay, how do advertisers know this? Okay, how do advertisers know who their customers are? Who is the target market? Okay, so total available market. Okay, total available market, TAM for short. How big is the universe? So this is ultimately how they do their research. Okay, so then how big is the universe? Okay, then they look at served available market. So the served available market is how many can I reach with my sales channel? Okay, so how many people can I still serve and how many people are being served? Okay, number three, your target market. Who will be your most likely buyers? Okay, so remember, our advertisers and the marketers, they are doing their homework. Okay, so that's a whole network. So in order to reach a certain target market, advertisers will acquire or they have a database with the following information of people in our country. Okay, so where they have the occupation, they have the location, incomes, hobbies, ages, gender, values, interests, etc., etc. And advertisers do their research. Okay, so you need to understand this is how they know who their target market is and who to target and who will be the most likely to consume a certain product. Then we have a look at our graphics and our visuals. So graphics in advertising are use virtual elements to convey a message or promote a product. Okay, so it's either advertisements to one of two things. They either convey a message or they promote a product. You need to remember that. So when you're looking at the advertisement and you're looking at everything that's going on there, you need to ask yourself, is this advertisement, is it conveying a message or is it promoting a certain product? Okay, then second bullet, it involves strategically using color, imagery, typography, right, and layout while considering consumer needs to create compelling ads that bring in new customers and sales. Okay, so in other words, the idea is to hold on to the current um, the idea is to hold on to their current customers, but also bring in or lure in more customers and therefore promoting more sales. Next, we have logos. Okay, so it's very important for you also to understand what a logo is and why a logo is used. So advertisers use logos by convincing an audience of the argument using facts, logic, or reason. Okay, so in other words, they will use factual information to sell a certain product. Okay, so they'll use the facts, right? Then they'll play on your logical ability to think, and then they will also think, look at your reasoning. Okay, then we'll look at the next one, also known the persuasive technique, right? And that aims to convince an audience by using logic and reason. So this is all what our logos ultimately does. Okay, so it's also known as the logical appeal. So that is what logos are. It is the logical appeal. Okay, for you to buy into a certain product. Okay, it shows off a brand's personality. So the logo will show what the brand ultimately wishes for its consumer and what attitude or values they are trying to sell and bring across to the consumer. Next. So there we have a couple of examples of the most famous, some of our more famous logos, which is Yahoo, Adidas. So what do you associate with these logos when you look at them? Okay. How do these logos make you feel about a certain product or brand? Next up, we have our slogans. Okay, so the slogans are the short phrases used in advertising campaigns to generate publicity and unify a company's marketing strategy. Okay, so if you go back there, you'll see the Yahoo, Adidas, right? Those are your logos. So what are the slogans that go or attach itself to these logos? Okay, so phrases are used to attract attention to a distinctive product feature or reinforce a company's brand. Okay, so that is what slogans does. You have your logo now, then you have your slogan. Okay, so the logo is basically the brand name, right? And then your slogan is basically the it's a short phrase that unifies or marries or shows the correlation between the publicity and unifies the company's marketing strategy. The phrases are used to attract attention to a distinctive product feature or reinforce a company's brand. Then, slogans are also meant to a simple and memorable catchphrase that draws an audience to a particular brand or product. Okay, can you think of a few? So, your examples of yours of some more popular slogans as "Think Differently," which is probably which is your Apple product, and then your Coca-Cola, which is synonymous with opening happiness, and then with Ford, Go Further, and obviously Nike, Just Do It. I like to use that one for my kids with my kids. That's a specific slogan. And then when you think of McDonald's, all you think is about "I'm loving it." Okay, this is a new one over there that I came across. It's called Verizon. Can you hear me now? Maybe you've heard it before, but I definitely not. Okay, next one. The copy techniques. So what are the copy techniques? Remember, these are all features of the advertisement that you need to remember and you need to bear in mind. So what are the copy techniques? Okay, so you must remember that the copy techniques is the pun. For those of you who don't know or don't understand what a pun is, it's a play on words. Okay, there are some examples as we go along. And then certain phrases, right, or words will be repeated. Okay, so you need to look at the repetition as well. Then we have the alliteration, right, which is a play on a word. And then we have the assonance and we have the onomatopoeia. Then we have hyperbole. Okay, these are what the types of words or phrases and stuff that the writer uses on the advertisement itself. So it will be a pun, it will be repetition, it will be alliteration, assonance or onomatopoeia, hyperbole, rhetorical questions. The questions will be basically to encourage you that logic, that reason why you should buy something. Then we have jargon, which is basically a language that is affiliated with a certain a language that is affiliated with a certain group of people. So lawyers will have their jargon, and doctors will have their certain jargon, etc. And then also based on that, whether that jargon is fact and whether it is opinion. And then we have the marketing buzzwords, and then we have hard sell versus the soft sell. Okay, and these are all things that we're going to be looking at in the next few slides. Next one, examples of pun, which is a play on words. I have two examples over there. We have Jimmy Shoe Repairs, I will heal you, I will save your soul, I will even die for you. Okay, so that is what an example of a pun, right, or a play on words. Buy our pizza, we need the dough. Okay, so I'm sure you can understand that. Then we have the repetition. Remember, Coca-Cola, open happiness, share Coke with family and friends. Family and friends meaning togetherness, being happy when you open a Coke. Oh, okay, so then we have the big beefy bliss. Okay, so there you'll see also that repetition on the word, the emphasis, right, on the word, on the B sound. So it's big, it's beefy, it's blissful. Okay, so why do they use that? So because when you look at it, you see the big beefy burger and you just want to devour it. Next one. Alliteration and assonance. Okay, so these two ultimately go to notes. So alliteration is a play on a certain word, right? And then we have assonance, which is what it is associated with. Okay, so here we have one from Arby's. Okay, so probably an international brand. It's good mood food. So in other words, the food they make, it's supposed to make your mood better. Okay, then we have Kit Kat. Have a break, have a Kit Kat. Okay, an example now of onomatopoeia, which is an example is one for sunscreen and one for I'm not sure what that is, yeah, but it looked like some kind of plop plop fizz fizz. Okay, so you know there when it's exact sound. So all of you that don't know what onomatopoeia is, it is the exact sound that a that in other words the word is said like it actually sounds in real life. Okay, so then we have another one there for suntan lotion, which is slip, slop, slap. Okay, those are your examples of onomatopoeia, and this is some of the persuasive techniques that advertisers use. Okay, so hyperbole is also known as a gross exaggeration of certain aspects. So there we'll see the one, which is mints so strong they come in a metal box. Okay, and the curiously strong mints. So what is the advertiser implying by saying this? I have a million things to do today. Okay, hyperbole, a figure of speech that uses extreme exaggeration to make a point or show emphasis. So, what is the writer doing when he uses hyperbole as part of his advertisement? Okay. Then we have what is a hard sell? So the hard sell, it's an advertising technique aimed at providing a logical reason to purchase or buy a certain product. Okay, these could include the following techniques. So this is examples of a hard sell, which is our free offers. It uses repetition. You will see that they will encourage discounts. There is clever jargon, the language of specialized terms used by a group or profession. And then we also have the direct approach, right? I'm coming right at you. Okay, and an example of a hard sell would be something like this, act now, don't miss out, crazy deals, last chance, up to 50% off, 1 hour sale. So you'll see there's like a push, right? It's almost like forceful, and it comes hard. Okay, so in other words, you must act now. Okay, so that desire is created, the action is created as well. Next one, we have our soft sell, right? So our soft sell, and that's synonymous with Coca-Cola brand. Okay, so the soft sell, it's an advertising technique aimed at creating an association and identity, providing a positive or consent into buying of a product's ethos. Okay, so when you think of the soft sell, I want you to think of brands long-standing brands like Coca-Cola, but also think about Nike, think about Adidas, think about KFC, think about the Spur advertisement as well. Okay, so because these type of ads, right, is creating an association and identity, right, and it is almost like you are consenting because you are buying into something positive. And then another example of a soft sell, okay, women don't leave the kitchen. So in other words, this is a product for, this is an advertisement for men, sort of buying in or persuading them to rather get married. If they can't get married, then they should go eat at Hardee's. Okay, you can have a look at it later on as you go along. Okay, so what is brand identity? Okay, so we're looking at brand and identity. So all the workings related to a product, service, company, or alternatively a person are referred to as brand identity. Some items which are included are a name, a logo, a certain tone, a tagline, a typeface, a shape. Okay, so these are all what ultimately a brand is. So think about CR7, the brand CR7, right, which is synonymous with Ronaldo. So he has his own perfume brand now. Okay, so when you see CR7, right, automatically you think about the name of Ronaldo. Then you have examples of branding. Okay, so this is basically how they sort of encourage the type of branding. So you'll see that the brand of Coca-Cola, right, is ultimately synonymous with happiness. It's synonymous with values, certain values, socialization, and it encourages sharing. And then we have the young and the social and the youthful and the interactive. And this is what you do when you see a Coke advert, because this is the emotion, right? Or this is the brand that the Coca-Cola group is selling. Then let's look at some of the common errors and misconceptions when learners are answering the advertisement questions. So what we found, okay, is that students struggle with understanding and defining the tone. Okay, so know what tones are. Okay, what tones are created. Remember, the tone is the reader's feelings, right, or ideas about a certain topic or subject. Okay. Candidates can't unpack how the illustration convey the advertiser's message. Remember, section C is visual literacy. Okay, so visual literacy is you need to look at all those aspects that was mentioned earlier. You need to look at the is it a hard sell? Is it a soft sell? You need to look at the tone. You need to look at the diction. You need to look at all of those things. Okay, so you need to understand how that all work together. Okay, so candidates can't unpack how the illustration conveys the advertiser's message. Okay, so what message? The tone ultimately tells us what the advertiser's message is. Okay, so then learners provide generalized answers about the visual layout rather than specifically focusing on the illustration. So learners provide generalism, so don't generalize, right? Be specific when answering a question, okay, and focus on the illustration when answering a question. Then we go, learners struggle with commenting on techniques used by the advertiser to influence the reader. So know what techniques are being used, how those techniques influence the reader, okay, when it's used in a specific advertisement. So learners can identify the techniques maybe, but then tend to ignore the influence the technique have on the reader. So in other words, tone influences the mood. Okay, and remember, you need to apply the AIDA principle when you are analyzing advertisements. Okay, let's look at the next one. Suggestions for improvement. I'm sorry for that little bit of a boo there. Suggestion for improvement. So learners to read the questions carefully and to respond to every aspect of the question. Remember, you need to understand what you are reading right? So that you can answer it effectively. Okay, so learn the advertising techniques and how to apply them in answering the questions. And we'll have a look at that now. I have put in some examples. So make connections, link the visual with and the written text. It's so very important. You need to understand that the advertiser puts the visual content will support the written content. Okay, so it's important for you to be able to make those connections and then identify the key instruction words. Okay, so highlight when I always encourage my readers, when you are reading with me in class, make sure that you have a highlighter, a pencil, or a pen, and you are underlining. So you need to understand what the question is asking of you, and how to answer it. Okay, so identify the key instruction words. Make sure that you know what you need to do. If you are not sure, please raise your hand and ask. Okay. Then learn how to respond to the instruction verbs. Okay, so most of you probably have your instruction verbs already. Remember, for the very first lesson, we went over the instruction verbs, but we also did the types of levels of questions. Then provide complete answers for maximum marks. So learners answer very vaguely, right? You can't say, and we'll have a look at it at the question, but you can't just jump onto an answer. You need to use or extract keywords from the question, right? And start your answer with those answers, with that question words. Okay. They compare and look at actual advertisements. Um, I don't know how many of you actually do it. I don't know how many of you are actually reading the newspaper anymore. But try to, right, always look at advertisements. Right? Try to have a better understanding of it in the real world feeling. Okay, what makes an advertisement work? Why will you want to go out and buy something once you have seen an advertisement? So, the genre of English is to introduce and inculcate, okay, into learners a critical awareness of a variety of things. So it's important for you to have an understanding, right, of many things. And question paper one, okay, of the English language actually tests your critical language awareness. Okay, so this they will always teach you to read between the lines, to use things to support your answer, to use information from the text to support your answer. Okay. Next one, the study of ads refines the skills of the identifying the advertiser's purpose or intention. The study of ads. So in other words, looking at ads all the time, right? Defines, okay? So in other words, you become a master, right? Of identifying the advertisement. The why is an advertisement being advertised in this way? What is the message that the advertiser wants to bring across? Is it a message, convey a message, or is it to sell a product? And who will be the people that will buy into certain products or messages? Then, examples of questions. So this is again from the grade 12 NSC exam for 2021. The question here, or the ad here, is for the Heinz ketchup tomato sauce. So the question, discuss the persuasive appeal of the slogan. Okay, so what is our slogan? You need to know what a slogan is first of all. Okay, so here, the answer here, the slogan, it's only natural, implies that Heinz ketchup is a superior product that is unmatched by other unnatural products. So it is aimed at the health conscious person. It is aimed at the discerning buyers who would be convinced that Heinz is a wise choice. So it will be the better product or the better tomato sauce to buy. Okay. Another example of a question, and this one is looking at the visual images, right? So discuss how the visual image supports the overall message of the advertisement. Okay, this is also a 2-mark question, so which means you must tell me what and you must explain. Okay. So, answer. The advertiser presents the tomato being infused into the bottle and sealed off to preserve its goodness. So this the picture as a whole. So that is making reference to the picture as a whole. So the healthy looking plant is depicted as the source of the ketchup. The image thus reinforces the message that the product contains only natural ingredients. So then, what are you saying? We're referring to the picture as a whole, and then in the second part of the answer, we make reference to both the visual and the overall message, and that is our explaining our what we are saying. Okay. Next one, we move on to cartoons now. Cartoons and what to remember when answering the question of the cartoon questions or when approaching the cartoons in general. So know how humor is created. Okay. Also, a pun on words, alliterate pun or play on words, alliteration, assonance, hyperbole, all of these things is implemented or put into a cartoon, and this is how humor is created. So, you've heard the terms irony, satire, all of those. So this is know that this is how the humor is created in works of cartoon. So you need to understand satire, often found in political cartoons. Satire presents the weakness of humanity and makes fun of the society's weaknesses. Then we have sarcasm. It's sometimes used as merely a synonym of the irony, but the word has a more specific sense. So, irony that is meant to mock or convey contempt. So that is what sarcasm basically is. It is more specific. It's a synonym of irony. However, it is specific and it's meant to mock or convey contempt. Okay, so in other words, you're supposed to make fun, or it's supposed to evoke feelings of dislike in general. Then we have irony. So irony implies the opposite of what is apparently being stated. Okay, I'm sorry for those typos. I have two typos. Then I apologize. So irony implies the opposite of what is apparently being stated. So irony may begin as a compliment, right, or a simple statement, but it conceals a sting in the remark. So in other words, you're not saying what you really mean or what you actually feel. Okay. So a pun is play on words. It's a joke. It's exploiting the different possible meanings of a word or the fact that there are words which sound alike but are different. Okay. So that's your pun. It's your joke. That's basically a play on words. And I don't know if you remember the example in a few slides of the pun where we need the dough. Okay, please buy our pizza. We need the dough. So that is an example of the pun. So continued. So understand the differences between facial expression and body language. Okay, facial expression and body language, right? Sometimes the face will say something, but but the body language implies something else. Then describe what you see in the cartoon that leads you to a particular conclusion. So describe what you see. Okay, know the impact of the different speech bubbles. So we'll have a look at the speech bubbles also as we're going along. Describe what you see in the cartoon that leads you to a particular good. When they say describe, you need to also be quite specific here. Okay, so they're referring to facial expression, body language. So facial expression, say what the car, the caricature facial expression is. Say the frown lines, the eyes are big, the mouth is open, etc., etc. So you need to actually describe that. Okay. Okay. What are some of the techniques that are used in cartoons? It's diction. Right? Diction is the use of words, and then the punctuation marks. Why certain punctuation marks are used in a certain way. Then we have the figurative language, and then we have the body language, and we have facial expression, and how they all work together to bring across a certain message. Then we have your visual and verbal elements. Okay, you need to understand what is happening in the cartoon. You need to read and understand visual and verbal clues. So in other words, you need to take note of the facial expressions, the body language. So the speech bubbles or thought bubbles. So have a look at that. Whether it is a speech bubble, is it a thought bubble, is it a whisper bubble, is it a telephone bubble, is it a shout bubble, is it a type bubble? Okay, what type of bubble is it, and what is implied by that specific speech bubble? Okay. Next, what are some of the verbal clues that we look for? I use the cartoon of Garfield to emphasize or to bring the message across better. Whatever is inside the speech or thought bubble, these are verbal clues, remember? So, whatever is inside the speech or thought bubble, right, you need to take note of. This includes the words being spoken, the punctuation marks, the sentence types, the font, etc. Okay, so you have a look at this one here. You will see that the word bonk is written in capital letters. It has a big exclamation mark. Look at the lines, the movement lines, right? What does that imply? Next, what are visual clues? So your visual clues includes the setting, facial expressions, body language, the speech bubbles. It includes onomatopoeia effects. Remember, we've dealt with that in the advertisement already. Remember, the same applies to the cartoon as well. So look at the movement lines. Compositional details include foregrounding. So in other words, the point of view or the line arrangement. Why is certain things done in this way? Then also what is being said out of the box, right? And the silhouette. Then examples of some visual clues here again. I used Garfield as a clue, as a example, because it is so rich with all of those visual clues. So we have gonk there again. We'll see that the movement lines is indicating that a ball is hitting Fred's head. Okay, we'll see that the coffee is the movement. The coffee is being spat out of his mouth. His eyes are big and is rounded. And then we also see again splot. Again, bold letters. Why is it bold? It highlights the impact, right? And then we have words like thwack, which is onomatopoeia, okay, because that's the sound that would be made when you're being hit in the face with a broom. And then we have again gra, etc., etc. Okay, so that's some good examples of visual clues. Next, examples of caption in cartoons. Okay, so what is this caption reading here? Okay, so there's also a good example of caricature, right? And also a good example of hyperbole. So examples of caption in cartoons. What is this cartoon conveying? What is the message? Right, that this cartoon is actually conveying. Yes, it's making fun of something, but it's also a meaningful message behind this cartoon. What is the cartoonist, what is the message he's bringing across? Then some examples of facial expressions in cartoons, caricature, Viva ANC, you'll see that Cyril Ramaphosa is being made fun of, right? The elongated nose, implying that he's Pinocchio, which implies that he's probably lying. And then we have Jacob Zuma over there with a clown outfit on, with lots of money stuck in his sleeve. So what is that implying? Okay, whose clown is Jacob Zuma? Then we have also the very popular cartoon that was going around with Zuma and the shower head on top of it. Okay, what does that say about Jacob Zuma? Then we have techniques used for humor. So there'll be wordplay, there'll be literal misinterpretation, there'll be reversal of expectations, there'll anticlimax, role reversal, hyperbole, satire, use of humor as a tool to effectuate a message, parody, a comedic commentary story about work that requires an imitation of the work. So remember, if any of you are doing Hamlet, okay, the play in a play is could be seen as a parody, could be seen as an example of parody. And then we have irony, which is your verbal, situational, or unintended. Then we have the wit, and then we have the absurdity, and obviously the political cartoons that are so popular. Okay, typical exam questions. The last question normally focuses on the humor message, conclusion of the cartoon. So pay special attention to that. And then we have the example: is the last frame an effective conclusion to the cartoon, right? And then comment critically on how the visual and verbal aspects of frame so and so convey the cartoon's message. Comment on the change of facial expression from frame to frame. Okay, so you actually have to tell me why certain things are done a certain way. So, what are you saying and why? And remember, cartoons, you are making reference to body language and facial expression. You have to tell me, describe it. Okay, so for good examples of this, and remember we are using 2018 and 2021's exams papers. So look at those cartoons and try and work through the questions first before you decide to look at the memos. Okay, so that's a wrap for paper one. I wanted to include a cheat sheet for section C. I mean, for question five of section C. What you can do is you can maybe pop Conita a message, and then I can maybe just forward it or email it to you. But remember that English is a life skill. Paper one typically tests your critical language awareness. Apply the methods shown to you and answer the questions. Very important for you to remember. Okay, I think my time is just about run out.
Yes, yeah, I just had a bit of a challenge getting back, joining the stream again. I'm thinking computer
Okay,
don't freeze on me now. But shukran for a very informative session again, Miss, for today's session. And our facilitator for today is Ni-shaat Dastagir. She is an educator at Darul Arqam Islamic High School, teaching English home language. Yeah, so thank you. Is that all from you for today?
yes, that will be all from me for today, Juanita. Shukran so much for your time and your effort. May Allah grant us place khair and barakah in all that we do to ensure that our learners obtain academic excellence, inshallah. Ameen.
Ameen, ameen. And also, just a reminder to the viewers, this is a recorded segment. Please do share with those who can benefit, inshallah. From myself and my guest today, we bid you farewell. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.